guys, welcome to Office Blokes Reacts. I just saw your face in the screen. What were you doing?
I was biting my lip.
I just saw you like...
You can actually sit there and go for his shit at the same time.
Okay. Okay.
What an absolutely charming introduction to a video.
Yeah, I'm keeping it though.
Hey.
Welcome to Office Blokes Reacts. I'm Office Bloke Dave.
I'm Office Bloke Mike.
I'm Office Bloke Daz.
Collectively, we're the Office Blokes.
Yep.
2 other YouTube channels, Patreon page, social media, merch, all that
Everything.
good stuff.
Everything you need.
Click the link below and it'll take you where you need to go. Unless you want one of these, and then you got to wait. You got to be patient.
Coming to you.
Simple as that. Space law.
Space law.
What laws are there in space?
I don't know.
Could be anything. We've just done maritime, haven't we?
Yeah,
So
did maritime
that's
law.
really interesting.
And that guy leading on to his next video of space law, he got us instantly, didn't he?
Not only that, we went on his channel and had a look, and he's got some great looking videos.
Yeah. So we'll do a few of those, I think. Yeah, you think in space it was like, well, do what you want, really. I mean,
Fucking loads of it.
There's
You
a
want
lot
that
of it there. Yeah.
Well, you know, you can buy a bit of the moon, can't you? Which is an absolute scam.
Big time scam. You can buy a star.
You can buy a star, which again, who sold you that?
It's
Hopeless romantics
I mean,
who wants to go to his missus and go, look what I bought. You see that star in the sky there? It's now named after you.
Yeah, that's always going to be our star.
Bullshit.
Life.
Long after we're dead and our love is gone.
I'd rather go bowling.
Same.
Probably better off getting like a box of chocolates or a bunch of flowers.
You old romantic.
Hey?
We're all romantic here at the Office Blokes. Space law. What laws are there in space? Let's get into it.
Yeah.
Today, we're going to talk about space law. So back in the old days, property owners had the rights to their land going up forever and ever in perpetuity. But then the airplane came around and smart people realized that you couldn't just go around asking every property owner for permission to fly through their airspace. So governments decided that they would own the air above a certain level. In general, governments decided that property owners own their land up to 500 feet above ground level, and then the air above that, going up infinitely, was to be owned and controlled by the government. This made life easier for airplanes, but then America invented space, and that made things a little more complicated. In most cases, satellites and spacecraft orbit around the Earth, so it would be a logistical nightmare to request permission to enter into the airspace of each nation in an orbit. Once again, smart people got together and decided that those air rights that countries had given themselves should end at a certain level. Different countries say different things, but all of them agree that somewhere between 19 miles above Earth, the altitude of the highest airplane...
Sorry, I can't go past that. What did that say about Colombia?
Colombia didn't agree.
...in an orbit. Once again, smart people got together and decided that those air rights that countries had given themselves should end at a certain...
Except for Colombia, Ecuador, Congo, Indonesia, Kenya, Uganda, and Zaire.
Zaire. Yeah, it's not called Zaire anymore.
They think they own space. I like this guy's humour. He's good in this.
Space. Look, they're all pretty like countries, aren't they?
Go on, finish that sentence.
You know.
Yeah.
Congo.
South African and African, aren't they?
Corrupt. Is
South
that what you were
American,
going to say?
South America and Africa. Well, Indonesia's not. Indonesia's Far East.
Indonesia.
But yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Corrupt countries, yeah. It's probably the right word.
level. Different countries say different things, but all of them agree that somewhere between 19 miles above Earth, the altitude of the highest airplanes and balloons, and 99 miles above Earth, the altitude of the lowest orbiting satellites, a country's claim to sovereignty stops. So this begs the question, which laws apply in space? So let's say an astronaut commits a small crime while in space, like, I don't know, doing a line while on a spacecraft. This isn't a huge crime against humanity, but they're gonna have to be punished. If the astronaut had those happy times while on the spacecraft of a specific country, it would be clear which country would prosecute. If it was in a Soyuz capsule, Russia would prosecute. If it was in a SpaceX capsule, the US would prosecute. Much like with boats, the spacecraft is
No point going to space then, is there?
No.
It's probably unlikely, this scenario, I would suggest, but, you know.
Imagine the world's first gay astronaut goes up with his fellow and docks. And then docks.
Did you say docks?
Space docks.
Docking.
But then docks in a Russian one where it's illegal. And then if they ever go to Russia, they could be prosecuted
Got
for
the International Space Station as well. So what laws does that come under?
Depends how high it is.
Very.
You've got to be high to go to space.
Yeah.
Considered to be an extension of the sovereignty of that country. But let's say Mr. Astronaut did his line while on the moon. Who would prosecute then? The Outer Space Treaty of 1967 says that no country can claim a section of space or a celestial body as their territory. So this means that no country's laws apply universally on the moon. Well, this is where the idea of extraterritorial jurisdiction comes into play. In almost every country, citizens are subject to the laws of their own country, even if they are outside of the country. This doesn't apply when they are in other countries, since the other country's laws trump the extraterritorial jurisdiction, but when they aren't in any country, these laws do apply. This means that two people in the exact same place can be subject to different laws. An 18-year-old British astronaut could technically drink on the moon, while an 18-year-old American astronaut could not. Just to make things a little bit more complicated, the rules are different on the International Space Station.
There you go.
The Space Station Agreement, the document that outlines the rules of the ISS, says that in most cases, extraterritorial jurisdiction applies. Each astronaut is subject to the laws of their own country. However, if, for example, an American astronaut, say, punches a French one out of frustration, France would be allowed to prosecute the American astronaut. The same...
Oh, we just let that go.
Yeah.
Well, we just going, he didn't mean it.
He'd never get prosecuted for that, would he? Let's face it.
Who eats smelly cheese on a space station anyway?
You're not allowed.
I know, you've got to be considerate.
Might as well do a line.
Exactly, yeah.
Can you imagine this exciting thing of we're going to go to space and we're going to have satellites and space stations and everyone's like, so exciting. And
you got your 8-ball.
Yeah, well, no, and then someone goes, yeah, actually, but we need to draft up some laws, rules, procedures that the people need to follow while they're up there. And everyone turns around and goes, you swat.
Yeah.
All right, Brian.
There's always one, and then suddenly there's a 200-page document of space laws that you've got to follow when you're on a space station. It's like, yeah. Someone has said that, haven't they? Yeah. But what happens if blah blah blah, and then had to...
It's like health and safety, isn't it?
Yeah.
They're just trying to cover themselves, aren't they? That's what it's all about. It's like what you do.
For the sake of 7 guys in a space station, and they've got all these like hundreds of pages of documents. It's madness.
It applies with property. If a British astronaut smashes a Canadian astronaut's computer, Canada could prosecute the Brit. In addition, this agreement allows for the extradition of astronauts in all cases, regardless if the two countries have a normal extradition treaty. This is actually pretty important because Russia doesn't have an extradition treaty with the US. This means that Russia doesn't have to give up individuals who have committed a crime in which the US has the right to prosecute. In the case that a Russian commits a crime against an American on the...
Russians don't commit crimes.
Definitely not in other countries, and then harbour the people that did it.
Get someone else to do it for them.
You know, if they happen to be looking at a nice church
steeple,
yeah, then you know.
SS, however, Russia would be obliged to extradite that astronaut. Another situation to look at is what would happen if a baby was born in space. First off, this is a super hypothetical because it's unknown if it's even possible for a baby to be born in zero gravity. And if they were...
I think anyone who knows anything about childbirth knows that gravity doesn't really play much of a part in it.
I think anyone who knows anything about fucking common sense. You don't send someone in space who's fucking 8 months pregnant.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Can you imagine the logic, though, where someone's about to give birth and it's like, right, stand up so that the baby's got some gravity pulling it down. Come on, mate.
Their bones would be so brittle that they would crush under their own weight if they returned to gravity. It's unlikely that any country would allow for an astronaut to have a baby in space because that would be like super unethical. But for the sake of argument, let's say there was a space baby. What nationality would...
That was a small Putin, that one.
A space Nazi baby. Did you see the sign he was throwing up?
Allow for an astronaut to have a baby in space because that would be like super unethical. But for the sake of argument, let's say there was a space baby.
Blonde hair, blue eyes, throwing a Nazi salute.
That's definitely Putin, isn't it? Hey. Baby Vlad. Baby Vlad.
Wow.
What nationality would that baby be? There is actually precedent for this question. 13 babies have been born in Antarctica, where there's a similar treaty that disallows sovereignty. While those babies were not born in their parents' countries, they took their parents' nationalities. The same policy applies in space. There are countries, however, that don't give citizenship to babies born outside of the country. So, in that case, the baby would take the citizenship of the country of the spacecraft they were born in. This is the same rule that applies when a baby is born on an airplane in flight. They take the nationality of their parents, and if that's not possible, they take the nationality of the country in which the aircraft is registered. And what happens if the baby is born on the moon or Mars where there is no sovereignty? Well, I don't know, man. What do I look like, a lawyer? But seriously, nobody really knows. This is just one of many flaws in current space law. Only 536 people have been to space, and all of them were highly trained and were representing their country. They just aren't the type of people to commit crimes. As commercial spaceflight and space tourism develop, all these laws will need to be made more clear to prevent future problems. Gone is the era when these laws can just be figured out when and if the time comes. In the near future, we could be seeing space mining as well, and that will require economic laws and environmental treaties. The coming decades will be a fascinating time as we watch not only the development of commercial space industries, but also as we lay out the legal and political groundwork needed for the opening of the final frontier.
Brilliant.
Yeah, really interesting.
His videos are brilliant.
Really good, aren't they?
Yeah, the humour he adds into it.
I'm well into that. What's he called? Wendover Productions.
Yeah.
Well into that.
Yeah, really good. Excellent.
I'm going to do loads of them because otherwise I'm going to go home and watch them all.
Yeah.
We will do. We'll get onto it.
I don't think space mining is ever going to be a thing, incidentally.
Can you imagine the cost of
Not in our lifetime.
No, you wouldn't have thought so, would you?
Not in your lifetime anyway. You know.
I saw a thing that was the cost per kilo or whatever of getting stuff to and from space, and it was astronomical.
Astronomical. Hey.
Show you there.
And the idea that you're going to get some crazy mining equipment into space to harvest diamonds, for example, something that's worth an absolute fortune, and get it back, you're going to have spent billions to get some diamonds back to the country.
It costs more than that you probably get from the revenue from the diamonds, and there's probably so many diamonds that it probably plummet in value as well, because there'd be that many of them.
It'd be cheaper to get rid of the cartel and just go and get the diamonds yourself.
Yeah.
Probably cheaper to go Beaverbrooks, wouldn't it? Someone just get.
I wonder if anyone.
They're not diamonds.
I wonder if anyone's done.
Allegedly.
I wonder if anyone's done a video on the corruption of the diamond industry, where they store diamonds and release them at a point where they want to inflate.
Let's find one. Let's find one and do it.
Because that's such a.
Is it a bit like the oil industry? Is
it's
it?
A racket.
They produce oil and stop production.
Well, the beers were behind it for years.
Is that what it was?
Belgium.
Yeah. They basically the stockpile of diamonds and release them incrementally, or hold them back to overinflate the.
There's a quota of what they release every year.
Yeah.
And to keep the value of the diamond high.
Yeah.
But the amount of diamonds available would plummet the price, so diamonds would be cheap, one of the cheapest.
That's what I'm saying about, mine, if it was in space and had loads of diamonds, the price would plummet, wouldn't it? So it'd be absolutely completely pointless doing it, really.
It'd have to be a mineral or metal or something that we don't have, or, it proves to be essential for space travel.
And you can imagine
something,
Yeah, you can imagine certain metals would be, vast, massive commodities for sort of like electronic equipment, for PCBs and chip thingies and stuff
chips,
like
chips, space potatoes,
microchips,
cheapest chips,
things like that. But yeah, I mean, space mining, I think
it's spuds.
It's probably unlikely that.
Yeah, it's a bit out there, isn't it?
Yeah, it costs a fortune.
It's good that though. I really do like that channel.
Yeah, great.
But we're going to find that one on the diamonds for sure. We'll do that.
Someone's got to have done a video on it. They must have done. Let us know if you've seen anything about that, because
I'll try and find one in the meantime as well. Yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed that too. Don't forget, like and subscribe. Let us know in the comments any ideas on similar videos, and we'll have a look at them.
Yeah.
And we'll catch you guys on the next one.
Cheers. Guys.